Namaskar. Welcome to the second talk today in the Shaivite Org Anniversary Week. And today's schedule has Dr. Raj Nehru on it. Welcome, Dr. Raj Nehru. Dr. Raj Nehru is a visionary strategist and dynamic executor. He is also India's youngest founding Vice Chancellor. After a successful corporate career, he now leads Sri Vishwakarma Skill University, the nation's first skill university. Recently, Dr. Nehru has authored a book, I Am Shiva, centered on the verse Chitti Swatantra Vishwasiddhi Hetu from Pratibhignya Hridayam. The book unveils the divine potential within each person. It demonstrates that every individual has the vision and free will to transform their life. By recognizing and transcending the ego, readers can connect with their universal self, endowed with boundless knowledge and the power to act. Before we hand over the mic to Dr. Nehru, I just want to remind everyone this will be a 45 to 50 minutes talk. There will be Q&A towards the end, depending on how much time we have left. Please use the Q&A tool in the meeting to raise your questions, and these questions will be moderated before they are answered. And there will be a poll towards the end of this call to share your feedback. And those questions which are not answered today on the call will be answered hopefully offline, depending on the availability of the speaker. So without further ado, let me hand over the mic to Dr. Nehru. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rishikji. So we have participants, Kashmiri, non-Kashmiri, both are Kashmiri participants.
We have participants who are Kashmiri as well as non-Kashmiris over here.
So we have to use a language which everyone can understand.
So we have already told the audience that our speakers may choose between English, Hindi, or Kashmiri. For the Kashmiri language, we unfortunately don't have any transcribes options on this call. So those would be made available post recording in a sort of a manually transcribed way. So for that, they will have to wait for the transcripts to become available.
Okay.
So you can choose the language you wish, or you can use a mix of all three languages if you like.
Right. Okay, so we can begin.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you very much. Namaskar. Good morning to all of you. Good evening, whatever time zone you are currently living in. And thank you very much, Rishikji, for giving me this chance to come and talk about my book. I know this is a week-long series that you are running, and I think it's blessing of Param Shiva that I have got this opportunity to speak and listen to you. Uh, First of all, let me share that a couple of years back with my father, I have been spending a lot of time. And when he started living with me, because earlier he was in Jammu and I was in Delhi, and then when he started living with me, I got more opportunities of exploring and experiencing certain knowledge that he had acquired during his lifetime, especially the Bhagavad Gita, and because he himself was a Shaivite Bhakt, and he shared certain experiences that he had had. And I have been always wondering with myself, with passage of time, that uh, what is our real identity? The question when I used to ask myself was because I worked into multiple areas and multiple roles. I started my career with army. I was a student. I became army personnel. I moved out of army. I joined corporate. In corporate, I spent my time with many organizations at many levels. But at each level, you are whenever someone will ask you, "Who are you?" Introduce yourself. So it is the moment of the time and the work that you are into that you always feel is what you are. And we used to express our introduction as who we are at that time. So if I am a general manager in some corporate, I'll say I'm so and so and I'm working in so and so company, and that's my introduction. But when I moved out of that company and joined some other company, I realized that my introduction changed. And so every setting would give me a different set of introduction scope for self. And this was always making me feel that I keep on changing my content of introduction, but what is my real introduction? And my father interaction, conversations with him was always driving me to explore on this side. So that is where I realized that there is something beyond when it comes to introduction uh, that is more real and not like the one which I was talking about, explaining and then this changing. So I started exploring that part to see and examine what is my real introduction. And that's where I got compelled to explore on this part. It introduced me to a real story. Most of you might have heard, we heard this story in our student days when we were in school class. My father reminded me the story. This is somewhere in Purans or somewhere the story is inscribed. It's about a lioness who was going to give birth to a cub. The moment some hunter came in and shot at the lioness, and before the lioness could die, a small cub was born. And as the cub was born, the lioness had died. There was a herd of some sheeps. They saw that small baby of cub, that small cub, and they took it along with them. And as the cub moved with these small babies of sheep, so the cub started behaving like them, eating like them, working like them, running like them, fearing like them. And the way other sheep would behave, this cub also started behaving, and that became his identity for himself. So as this cub grew up and also became a lion, uh, he forgot to roar. He forgot to realize that he was more powerful than anyone else. And someday, again, after some time, some years later, there was uh, an attack on this herd of sheep along with this lion. A lion, a predatory lion attacked them. And as the lion attacked them and wanted to grab some sheep, the lion was surprised to see that while he was running after all of them, there was one lion, he was also running away in fear. And this was very surprising to this predatory lion, that why is this lion running? He's also like me. So he, instead of running after the sheep, started running after this lion. And he ran after him. The lion who was among the sheep, who had grown among the sheep, was also running. And he was so scared. So finally, he got hold of him and asked him, "Why are you running?" He said, "Don't kill me. Don't kill me." He said, "Why will I kill you? You're also a lion." He said, "No, no, I'm not a lion. I am like other sheeps and I beg you for my life, so don't kill me." So this predatory lion was a little surprised. He just slapped him and took him to a nearby pond and asked him to see his face in the water. The moment that lion saw his face and realized that he also resembled with the lion who was attacking, and then this attacking lion, he made a big roar, and that inspired this and motivated this lion also to roar. And he realized in that moment that he was not a sheep, he was a lion. So he was born to roar, but he was conditioned to run like sheep and eat like sheep and behave like sheep. This was a very powerful story, and it happens to most of us that we don't realize who we really are, and we live in the conditions that we have been. or what conditions we live in, and those conditions make us to believe that this is what we are. And eventually, we live our whole life, or one life, or many lives. We live in those conditioned environment. So that was something that was propelling me to explore and experience, and that made me to reach to Kashmir Shaivism and the philosophy that is in Kashmir. That we have had there, but we never had an idea. But it was my father who helped me initially, and then I started exploring it. So after exploring it, I realized that today, on this moment, I realized that the more I have tried to get hold of whatever material I could get, the more I realize that I'm getting deeper into the set of unawareness and ignorance, because it is so vast that I think it will take me some more lives to really understand that nature of reality. But somewhere we have to begin, and I'm glad that somewhere some blessing of the grace of Paramashiva was there, that it pushed me, or it encouraged me or motivated me to go in that direction and explore. And this book that I have written, I Am Shiva, is just a reflection of that. So I'm not, I don't think I have mastered anything, but I think in last 4 or 5 years, I have intended to become a student, and whatever I am sharing and speaking today is as a student. So I may have some errors and some shortcomings, but that's fine. I will overcome them with time, maybe this life or afterlife. But I'm glad that I have started moving in some direction that is confidently giving me some idea that yes, there is something uh, that I can reach towards. So with that understanding, I tried to find uh, uh, what Shiva in Kashmir Shaivism mean. See, in India today, we see Lord Shiva as a common deity. I don't think there is anyone in this country who, the moment you say Shiva, the person will not identify or recognize or imagine uh, of something. So someone may imagine a linga, someone may imagine a deity sitting on the Mount Kailasha along with Parvati or Ganesha or Kartikeya. So there is an image that everyone has in their mind about Shiva. And that made me to explore and find that in India, the Shiva is classified in two, three main philosophies, mainstream philosophies. And in those two, three mainstream philosophies, I realized that two philosophies are primarily very important. One is the dualistic, Dvait-based Shiva, and another is the Advait-based Shiva. And in southern states have been the propagators of Dvait Shiva, Dvait Shaivism. And in the Dvait Shaivism, in a very simple terms, what I understood, Bhakt and Bhagwan, the devotee and the God, are two dimensions. So there is a devotee and there is a God, Shiva. And this duality is where I believe that there is someone who is God. And but in the northern side of India, in Kashmir, the philosophy was more of a non-dual, where the devotee and the God is one and the same thing. And that's how the terms like Shivoham has been propounded. Shivoham means I am Shiv. Shiv is me. Or like Adiguru Shankaracharya's Advait philosophy, which says, Aham Brahmasi, I am Brahma. And then we have Mansoor talking about Anal Haq, that I am thee. And I have also given a coinage to it. I have titled my book Aham Shivam, that I am Shiva. So there's not much difference. The only one difference that I realized, which made me to write Aham Shivam, is that where the Shivoham is an assertion uh, through which we believe that we are Shiva. Uh, Aham Shivam is an exploration that from lower levels to higher levels, I'm exploring until I realize that I'm Shiva. So, in Kashmir Shaivism, when I started exploring what Shiva means to us, and I realized that uh, Shiva is defined in Kashmir Shaivism as an ultimate consciousness, and consciousness that transcends all existence. It's pre-existential, so it doesn't exist the way we see certain things all around us, the way we see the matter around us. It doesn't exist like that. It transcends all the existence that we see all around us, but it is in all the existence. While everything is changing around us, and that change is emerging from this consciousness is itself unchanging. So I realized one thing, that Shiva is not merely a deity that we see a deity in the temple or in the images or in the pictures or in our yajnas or in many other ways. It's a it's a supreme, formless, and infinite reality that is to be understood in the form of pure awareness and pure freedom. So I realized with experience, with reading, with some practice, I realized that yes, it has to be some dynamic power or some creative energy that has the power to manifest. And while uh, there is change happening all around, it is that power, it is that formless infinite reality that is that's like an unchanging ground, that is source for all the changes that's happening around. In psychology, we use a term called mind's eye. So it's that formless state which gives rise to that mind's eye. We also use a term witness or witnessing consciousness. So it's that witnessing consciousness within us, it's that mind's eye within us that has the power to observe our thoughts, our emotions, our sensations that's happening inside us, and that has the power to observe our experiences. But this witnessing consciousness, this mind's eye, doesn't get entangled in all our experiences, whether it is thought or emotions or sensation. It's just witnessing us. It's just observing us. Why? Our thoughts and emotions will keep on changing. We'll move from one idea to another idea. We'll move from one thought to another thought. They keep on changing. But consciousness remains unchanged. This awareness remains unchanged. This witnessing mind's eye remains unchanged. It's just observing. So what do they observe? What I realized? This witnessing consciousness observes my thoughts coming in the mind. It observes emotions, the way they rise in me, the way they take the peak, and the way they fade. It observes. It has the power to observe my sensations in the body, the warmth, the stresses and tensions, and the relaxation inside me. It has the power to observe that. It has the power. It has the power to observe my reactions, my anger, my joy, my happiness, my frustrations, and it stays away from all of them, observing them. It doesn't get controlled by them. So this pure, detached awareness that sees all things and yet remains unaffected is what I realized in Kashmir Shaivism, this Shiva. So it's part of me that's always there, silently aware, no matter what is happening around me or happening within me. It's always there. And I sometimes do not know that. In India, when I was looking at, because some people, they will see Shiva in temples, in rituals, in practices, and some will see in a different way. And as I said, that in Kashmir, the Shiva, ultimate Shiva, the Param Shiva, is this that ultimate consciousness. So then I was thinking, why is this? Is something wrong in seeing Shiva in an idol in a temple? I realized no. There's nothing wrong in it. Why there's nothing wrong in it? Because, like in education, we have primary school, we have secondary, higher secondary, and then we have higher education. We have different levels to understand the highest form of knowledge. When you reach PhD, you specialize and you have the highest level of that knowledge. But to reach that highest level of knowledge, you have to pass through various stages of lower levels of knowledge. It's only when the child is in the nursery, he has to be shown alphabets, he has to be shown images, he has to be shown sentences, he has to be shown colors. Help him to resonate, because ultimately he has to reach to the higher levels of knowledge. So I realized that all this that we today do, some people do certain practices, they do puja, they do upasana, they do, they will go to temples, they will do A, B, C, they will do rituals, they will do havans. All these in Indian traditions, Indian system of knowledge transformation, knowledge enhancement, gaining higher levels, I realized that these are fundamentally important. There are certain souls which will straightway fly and be in the higher education, because this is my personal belief that they might have taken so many births to reach that level. For example, we have so many scholars in Kashmir who have given birth to this real philosophy. We have Acharya Vasagupt, Acharya Somanand, Acharya Khemraj, Acharya Abhinav Gupta. We also have Laleshwari. And all of them, in their birth time, they have given such phenomenal ideas. I believe that they have also gone through those many births through which they have acquired, because in Indian system of knowledge, we believe in birth and rebirth. And I believe that when we are born, we acquire certain things, and when we leave this body, we don't leave this body without anything. We don't leave this body empty. We leave with certain samskars, and we enter into another womb with those samskars. That becomes our nature. And then again there is nurturing, and we grow through that nurturing, but the nature goes along with us. And then we again leave the body, move into some other, depending upon how we have accumulated our samskars. And as the samskars grow, as the awareness grow, as the consciousness grow, there is a time when someone will become Abhinav Gupta, when someone will become Vasugupta, when someone will become Laleshwari. And that's how Laleshwari in one sentence says what was so complicated in Tantra Loka, what was so complicated in Shiva Sutra. Laleshwari has the ability to compile that in one sentence. If most of you understand Kashmiri, in Kashmiri there is a verse, she says, Goran Wannam Kunai Watsun, Nebrai Dupnam, Andre Atsun, Sui Gav me lage Vaakt Watsun, Tawai Hut me, Nangai Nasun or Nahangai Nasun. Means she says that Goran Vannam Kunai was Guru ne mujhe ek aisa shabd bataya, Nebrai Dupnam, Andre Atsun, that I have now gone inside. That the Guru has told me that you have to go inside. There's nothing outside. And that has created so much of transformation in me that now I don't need any facade. I don't need any kind of puja, part, anything where I was dependent. Now see, Lala in one shloka is summarizing whole Shaivism. Is making it so simple for a common man to understand. But imagine, it is Lala, Laleshwari, who has that ability to understand that what it means to go inside. Not an ordinary man. Like Khemaraja, when he was writing, when I was reading Prativigya Hridayam, Prativigya Hridayam, in the opening sentences, Acharya Khemaraj writes that I am writing this Prativigya Hridayam for those common people, because understanding Tantra Loka and Shiva Sutra is very difficult. It takes you multiple readings, and only when you have some fundamental understanding, you can understand the depth and width and breadth of Tantra Loka or Shiva Sutra. But Acharya Khemaraja says that I am writing it as a juice of all that to make it easy for a common man to understand. And believe me, I was reading Dr. Ledeskar, who has translated recently, some 50, 60 years back, Prativigya Hridayam. He writes, and I'm quoting what he writes. He writes, I am shamefacedly. He's saying that I'm shameful of the situation that where Khemaraj is saying that he's writing it for the common people of that time, some 1400 years back. And Ledeskar says that I'm shameful that what kind of simple people they would have been at that time, because I am not able to understand it today. I feel shameful that I am not able to understand what Khemaraja has written for the simple people. So understanding Kashmir Shaivism and the philosophy of ultimate consciousness, that witnessing consciousness, that mind's eye reaching to that level and getting associated with that is something that I find very, very difficult. But Lala makes it very easy. And Lala makes it so easy that sometimes we realize, for example, you raise your hand, and you will realize when you start entering into it yourself, I am different from my hand. So there is someone who is raising this hand. And that is the physical awareness. So we also say there are three bodies: physical body, emotional body, and astral body. Now the physical body is this body, this mind, this thought. But how many of us are aware of this physical body? How many of us are aware when we walk, which step we take next? How many of us are aware that what's happening to me all the time? How many of us are aware when we breathe? Because all this is happening naturally, so we don't care about it. We are not aware about it. And because we are not aware about it, it does not let us to create that harmony with the other two bodies, the emotional body and the astral body. Shiva, in my understanding, is when you build a harmony between physical, emotional, and astral body. For example, we become angry, and our anger is shown by our physical body, either by raising the voice, raising the tone, or hitting someone. But the anger doesn't happen in our physical body, it's only an expression. The anger actually happens in our emotional body. The emotion as an anger. The emotion is expressed by the physical body, but the anger actually happens in the emotional body. But we are not aware about it. But when we become aware about that as well, we may not express anger through physical body. We may suppress that anger there. But that is not also the center where the anger actually begins. Anger begins in the astral body, because what the spiritual science says and what the modern science says, there are vibrations. There are vibrations which happen in the astral body. And those vibrations do not have anger or happiness. Everything is mixed together. It's only vibrations, they happen until they reach our emotional body. And something happens in the emotional body that triggers the action in my physical body. But we are not aware about it. We only become aware when someone tells us, or when someone tells us that you became angry. Until that time, we are not aware that we have become angry, or we have become joyful, or we have become happy. So the awareness, the consciousness, the witness consciousness is, are we aware of our physical body? Because unless we are aware of our physical body, we cannot be aware of our emotional body. And when we start becoming aware of our emotional body, we start developing a symphony, a harmony between these two. And then it gives us an opportunity to be aware of our astral body. And when this synchrony happens, when this harmony happens, physical, emotional, and astral body, I think that's the first step towards recognizing who you are. You are Shiva. And Shiva is that witnessing consciousness which sees this harmony, which observes this harmony. So someone asked me that in Kashmir Shaivism, how is it explained that I don't see myself as Shiva? You are telling that I am Shiva, but I don't see myself as Shiva. So in Kashmir Shaivism, this completely a lot of elaboration has been given around it, and why we don't say it. So for that, one needs to understand the construct of the entire consciousness, from the highest tattva to the lowest tattva. Imagine we are in a sea, and in that sea we see the waves. So we are like waves coming out of that sea. So we are not different from the sea. We are that sea. But because of these tattvas, sometimes we don't see ourselves as a part of that sea, emerging out of that sea. A wave cannot see that it's different. It may have that illusion of being different, because it may see it's rising. It may not see where from it is rising. So in Kashmir Shaivism, I found how it explains. It explains that there are pure tattvas and there are impure tattvas. Because the entire consciousness comprises of pure tattvas and impure tattvas, and in between there is pure impure tattvas. We call it Shuddha tattva, Ashuddha tattva, and Shuddha Ashuddha tattva. And these tattvas, what are these tattvas? So Shuddha tattvas, they are representing the pure consciousness. And Ashuddha tattvas, they are those tattvas, they represent the material world. See, in science, it is what science today says is this, that the material world is manifested out of energy. Energy manifests the material world. Now, if you break anything, material aspects of anything, you will break, and the final piece that you will get in the hand is the energy. You cannot break energy. So energy manifests everything. In our class 10th, we read that matter has three forms: solid, liquid, and gas. But all these three forms are an outcome of energy. So energy creates matter. And it's not me saying, even the Einstein says that famous formula, E is equal to mc square. Means energy is equivalent to mass, and mass is equivalent to energy. So energy creates mass. And this matter is of three levels: solid, liquid, gas. So when energy vibrates at highest frequency, it becomes gaseous state. When the same energy vibrates at the lowest frequency, it becomes a solid state. And this energy is coming from vibrations, the cosmic vibrations. And those cosmic vibrations are coming from a cosmic sound, that humming sound. And behind that sound is that consciousness. So in Kashmir Shaivism, that pure consciousness behind, the sheath behind all that manifestation is Shuddha Tattva, Param Shiva. So 5 tattvas. Out the total 36 tattvas in Kashmir Shaivism, those 5 tattvas represent the pure consciousness. Now, what are those 5 tattvas? In Kashmir Shaivism, we have Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Sadashiv Tattva, Ishwar Tattva, and Shuddha Vidya Tattva. So I will not get into the details of them, but these 5 tattvas are what we call undivided Shiva. Means Shiva and Shakti, they're not too different, but they're part of that Param Shiva, ultimate consciousness. Ultimate consciousness is witnessing power, but acting on that witnessing power is the Shakti Tattva. So the Shiva is the pure consciousness, the state of absolute reality, where everything exists but in a potential state, as an undifferentiated whole. But Shakti Tattva, it is the dynamic aspect of the same consciousness that represents the energy or the power to create. So Shakti is the force through which Shiva expresses itself. So that's why in Indian system we see Ardhanareshwar. It's a way we explain, express, visualize that Shiva and Shakti is one. Means all of us, every sentient, insentient being has got both the tattvas. Now we'll say a cup will also have Shiva, yes, but it will be vibrating at a different frequency, which my eyes and I cannot imagine. So every sentient, stars, planets, moon, sun, everything is manifestation of Parama Shiva. And Shiva and Shakti are the 2 tattvas of pure Shiva. And then there is Sadashiv Tattva, which is where the differentiation starts, but still they are one, I and this. And in Ishwar Tattva, it is this and I. Oh, in our, we call it Aham Idam, Idam Aham. And then there is Shuddha Vidya Tattva, Aham Aham, Idam Idam, I, this, I-ness and this. But until Shuddha Vidya Tattva, this pure Tattva, 5 tattvas, they are Parama Shiva. But when Parama Shiva, within that ultimate consciousness, realizes Aham and Idam, Shiva, ultimate consciousness, wants to do a divine Leela. And that Leela is creating that duality in the material world. So the material world is full of duality. And for that duality, it brings in the Maya Tattva, Maya Shakti, what we call Maya Shakti. So Maya Shakti is what? Maya Shakti of Shiva, it's also Parama Shiva. It's also part of that Shakti. But it's Maya, it creates a sense of separation. it creates a sense of limited knowledge, leading an individual to perceive uh, individual existence. I may start believing it is me, I, my house, my family, my office, my property. And it veils the universal reality, which is in the pure tattvas. And Maya has got five kanchuks: Kala, Vidya, Rag, um, uh, Niyati, and Kala. So these five, we also call them coverings, sheets, facades. They prevent us from seeing. Carl introduced Kriya. Vidya is knowledge. So covering of knowledge, covering of action, covering of desire, covering of time, and uh, covering of cause and effect. So space, time, all this is Maya. And these Maya and its five kanchuks, they create that that curtain veil that makes the Purusha and Prakriti Tattva recognize the world in duality. So Purusha is also consciousness, Prakriti is Shakti, but they are in the Sankuchit form. They are in that small form, condensed form. Shiva in its ultimate form becomes condensed form in Purusha, and Prakriti is the Shakti in the condensed form. But here, Purusha and Prakriti, they see in duality. Now, things they will see around, they will see around in duality. And then in the tattvas, karma indriyas to perform, jnana indriyas to acquire knowledge. Again, these indriyas, they acquire knowledge and they act on that knowledge, whether it is hearing, touch, sights, taste, smell. Uh, so we all receive this in duality and we act in duality. And then we have got tanmatras, and then we have got the panchabhutas. So the whole body is made out of these five panchabhutas, which is earth, water, air, fire, and ether. No, Akash, Vayu, uh, Prithvi, Agni. So these five elements make us, but they experience themselves in duality. When I am made, my body, bones, flesh, mind, heart, everything is created. I see myself separate from every other. And that separateness is because we are impacted by the Maya. But in Kashmir Shaivism, this Maya impacts us through malas. There are three types of malas. One is anomal, maimal, and karmal. So I will not, because time is not that much. And but in Kashmir Shaivism, we also talk about, if there are malas, it doesn't mean that I will not be able to do anything. No. The Kashmir Shaivism says that there are upayas. And those upayas are four types of upayas. One is Ana upay, Shakta upay, Shambhav upay, and Anu upay. So these are techniques. In Kashmir, there is Vijnana Bhairav Tantra. It gives about 112 techniques. And those techniques, anyone can practice. Very simple to intense. And some of them, for example, first 4 and 45, 45th upaya in the Tantra. Tantra means techniques, not Jadu Tona. Tantra means techniques. So these techniques are focused on breathing, observation. So there are many techniques which people can practice. So to summarize all this, when I was looking at it, I realized that because I have been myself a student of psychology, management, practitioner for many years, I realized there was a significant connect with whatever modern psychology is also talking about, whether it is Freud or Daniel Goleman or many other people. They have also been inspired by the philosophy of consciousness. That's where the Freud talks about the conscious and unconscious self. And this conscious and unconscious self is also the conscious and unconscious. That is your Shakti. Our Shakti lives in unconscious. That's why we show Kali as black, because it's a dark world inside. So that's not the area to go. But I started relating this, how it will help a professional today. So I realized that this entire consciousness has the highest level and the lowest level. And as the consciousness is at the lowest level, it's fragmented, dualistic, and rooted in illusion. This means whatever we see this world as, we'll see this world as divided and opposite, me and others, right and wrong, good and bad. And we will always be driven by our ego, material desires, survival instincts. But as the vision goes up, as this vision expands through practicing these upayas, through practicing these techniques, the vision becomes unified and rooted in the recognition of oneness with universal consciousness, with that ultimate consciousness. And when our consciousness expands and moves towards that ultimate consciousness, as an individual, we experience life with clarity, compassion, a sense of interconnectedness. Then we don't see a distinction between ourselves and others. We recognize that all beings are part of the same universal consciousness, where the observer and the observed becomes one. And in the state of that observer and observed becoming one, the individuals become motivated by love, wisdom, selflessness. So, to me, when you read this book, I am Shiva, you will realize that it changes my understanding about how to experience this world. And as you experience this, your entire thought process will shift dramatically. Because at the lower levels of consciousness and awareness, our actions are shaped and limited by ego-driven perspectives. And because it's connected to our ego-driven perspectives, what does it bring to me? It brings to me stress, conflict, disconnections, greed, attachments. And as I start practicing and expanding my consciousness, my ability to get united with larger consciousness means I get united with you, I get united with him. I don't see a difference. I don't see a difference between anything and me. And what does it bring to me? It brings to me peace, purpose, fulfillment in anything I do. Whether I get success or not, it doesn't matter. I am satisfied with what I am doing. And when I practice this, I realize how selfless I have become, how wise I have become, how impactful I have become, because there's an aura which gets created around me. So in Kashmir Shaivism, there are many practices like meditation, self-awareness, contemplation that we practice, and that takes us and helps us to broaden our vision and move out from that narrow self-focused awareness to a higher emotional intelligence. I don't call it emotional only because emotional intelligence is also limited. It also, the limitation it has is it only takes us to the level of understanding our emotions, but it's transcending emotions. As I said, the three levels: the physical body, the emotional body, and the astral body, where from the source of emotions as well. So let me stop here because I think 50 minutes is what I was told, and I can go on and on because this I'm enjoying talking. But believe me, this is just not even the micro percentage of the whole, because this area of knowledge is so vast, so big, that it will take us many lives and births to actually recognize who we are and act and behave that way. But anyway, I'm glad that I got this opportunity from Rishikji to speak, and I'm happy that with the grace of Paramashiva, I was able to speak something. It's all his words that I have conveyed. If there is any mistake, it's all his mistake. If there is any message, it's all his message. I'm just a messenger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nehru. So we have two questions and we also have a hand raised. I think we can go through them. Yeah, Vijayji has raised his hand. Vijayji, can you try sharing your question through the Q&A so that we can take the questions in a sequence, or would you like to just speak out your question? Uh, no need to be sad. If you are more interested in talking about your question or having a conversation, then I'll request you to just stand by for a minute. Let's take questions quickly. So, Dr. Nehru, the first question we have, it's anonymous. I wish they had, used their name. It said, you mentioned that our conditioning plays a major role in how we see or identify ourselves. However, recognition of the self is not just about the identity, but more about realization of our identity. What do you feel, sorry, what does it say? What do you feel we need to do to recognize ourselves as our true self?
So, as I said, to recognize ourselves as true self is to spend time with ourselves in recognizing our visibility to this world through physical body. Now, I'll give a very small example. Every day morning we get up and we go to the washroom, wash our face or take a bath and brush our teeth. Brushing teeth is an everyday job. A small example. Just think of when we are brushing our teeth, how many times we are actually thinking of our teeth that we are brushing or becoming clean. We don't think, most of the people are not even aware that they are brushing teeth, because by at the time they think it's an unimportant activity. They are thinking of a meeting that I have today, or someone I have to meet today, or some EMI I have to fill or deposit. What I'm trying to say is the beginning is becoming conscious and aware of the self. I'm breathing. Am I aware of I taking breath and releasing breath? We have become so ungrateful to certain things. We are hearing, we are seeing, we are tasting, we are eating, we are feeling, we are walking, we are talking. But most of the time, we are not aware of what we are doing. So, the presence of ourself can develop, means my witnessing presence can develop only when I start becoming slow. It's not easy, because we have never been taught. In my birth time, I have never been taught how I have to live a life with full of awareness. And I have realized in the last couple of years, and since I have started practicing, it's very difficult. But when you start doing practice every day, you spend some time, And it's not that you do meditation in the morning and that's the only time when you have to be aware of yourself. You can carry that awareness whole day with you. You can keep on looking at your breath when you are breathing. You are conversing with people, but you are putting your eyes and ears to what you are hearing. You are breathing at the time you are only focusing on your breath. You are eating at the time your focus is only on eating. You are saying something at the time focus is only on seeing. That is awareness. That is the first step to increase your awareness. And
Okay,
as
thank
you
you.
start doing this, you will realize the change.
I'm quickly trying to go to the next question. I think it might be connected, so you can continue, maybe expand on it this little bit. It says, why are the three bodies, the physical or material, emotional, and astral, why are they not connected by default? What causes these three bodies to remain separate?
No, they are connected by default.
Okay.
But because of the unawareness, because of the malas, impurities,
Mm-hmm.
because of these malas, and what is the mala? The mala is anormal detachment. We see ourselves in duality. And when we see ourselves in duality, as I said, I am uh, I am pushed by competition, I am pushed by earning, I am pushed by getting certain things. So for me, the priority becomes something else. And in the pursuit of those priorities, I forget that harmony, which is already existing.
Makes sense. And this is what is covered in more detail in your book, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So let's go to Vijayji. Vijayji, let's try this. I don't know if you will be able to turn your mic on. Can you please try it? If it doesn't work, I'll try to make you a contributor. Maybe this is something I have realized just now. Oh, there is a question. Oh, Vijayji has posted his question. Looks like the mic probably is not turning on. The question Vijayji is asking is, do you have thoughts on how Kashmiri Pandit community can mitigate the risk of a cultural extinction by rallying our youth around Shaivism? That's a great question.
That's definitely a great question, and I think it begins at each one of our level, individual level, family level, community level, society level. Unfortunately, the way our society has taken plunge into various field, as I said again, the materiality of the world is uh, too much driving us for certain things, which has become very urgent for us, and the important aspects of life are getting ignored. So the only way, what I feel is that if we are able to change ourselves, and through our change, when we believe in that there is a need for it, because our children also see us not in what we do but how consistently what we do. When our children also see our consistency, they also get influenced by what is required for them. So if we at some point start moving towards that change, I'm sure our children will also see. Second is, while we have to build a consistency in our approach, because we believe in it, we have seen this, we have experienced this, our children have not, then we create certain opportunities for them where they can practice this. You see, today most of us are influenced by big gurus, large gurus. So some of such forums can be like, for example, many gurus are today talking about Kashmir Shaivism, and they organize various sessions, classes, and our young generation is also influenced by some of these gurus, so we can influence through them the conversation, communication. Publications need to be promoted, events need to be promoted, Kashmiri social gatherings need to bring in certain aspects of this. In fact, we have recently conducted a survey, global survey, of the impact of migration on the culture of Kashmiri Pandit. That report is going to be soon published. We have been presenting that to many people. So you will see also that's brought there. But there are certain actions which we have to take at individual, family, and society level. Unless we do it, we cannot expect changes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of our hour. Vijayji, I hope that answered your question. I will also request Dr. Nehru to share that report when it's ready with our community. So I think there are a lot of people in our community who are trying to spread the awareness of Kashmir Shaivism at whatever level they are aware of it themselves. So, having a report like this will definitely help us make a more data-driven argument in favor of spreading more awareness with the youth. And, what are some of the things that are working and have been tried out elsewhere. So, very glad to hear that you're doing that survey. And with that, I would like to thank you, Dr. Nehru, for wonderful, wonderful session today. You touched upon some really good, like deep ideas, very, very briefly, but still quite effectively, so as to kind of make us all curious. I'm really curious to kind of learn more about some of the ideas that you have shared. And I hope that we can invite you again and you will have the time to join us again for another session where we can make it a little more conversational so that the members of the community can engage directly with you. Also, because I'm doing this for the first time, I'm learning a lot of lessons as I go through this. For instance, I realized that Vijayji probably could not come online to ask his question. These are some of the technical things we are going to fix in future. But thanks once again for your time today. And thank you all the guests who were able to join today, all the community members. And wish you a wonderful day ahead of for you, Dr. Nehru, and a good night and good evening or good morning to the rest of you. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Aham Shivam.